Get ready to pay more for your Magic the Gathering experience in the coming months because Wizards of the Coast has decided to give players exactly what they've asked for. They are getting rid of draft boosters, they are getting rid of set boosters, and they're giving players a brand new experience with play boosters. What do you do if a product is not selling well, but you still need to make your bottom line? You cull the herd. You kill off the products that aren't doing well. You consolidate the interests of products that are doing okay to make a better lineup. You make a slimmed down menu. You often see this in restaurants when they decide they're wasting too much stuff. They look at the most popular items to maximize their profit and they dump the rest off the menu so nothing goes to waste. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here. Thanks again for hanging out with me on the channel today. And before we start today's video, a reminder that if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Guys, every new person subscribing is helping this channel get closer to 20,000 subscribers. We are 605 subscribers away. You guys can help make it happen by hitting that subscribe button, turning on your notification bells, and watching the content, guys. Thanks again for being here and being part of the channel and having this conversation of Magic with me each and every day. Now, today's video is going to be a lot longer than normal. There's a lot to go over here. The first section I'm going to focus on is going to be the MTG Finance, the financial section of play boosters and what is happening with this set. This is the area I like to focus on because I think it is more important than the overall design and concept of what they're doing. But because I know some players are going to care about that, I'm going to leave it in the video. It's going to be near the end. I'm going to go through the entire article and give a little point by point of what I think is going on. And pardon any word salad that comes along. If I mess up words, and it's a huge article, guys, I'm going to make mistakes and I can't afford to do multiple retakes. And I apologize now for any discrepancies I give as I'm reading that massive article. But I think it's important to go through both sections. Now, when a company like this is having issues, and they are recognizing they're having issues, it's stated in the article that stores, that the distributors, everyone's having an issue, and I'll talk about that later, but they are having problems managing product lineups because they're not all selling well. Remember theme boosters? Those are gone. Remember they had the theme packs? Those are gone. Remember Jumpstart? Those are gone. They culled the herd and killed off product lines. But what happens when they decide to resurrect Standard? They can't really get rid of draft boosters, but they like the sales they got from set boosters and the increased cash flow, because that's what set boosters are. They cost more money. And why do they cost more money? Because the company said it's a more thrilling experience with higher values, but the cards don't have value because they don't follow the secondary market. So that's kind of weird. That must come from their economic team that doesn't exist, right? Remember that Vegas video? I'm never letting it go. So they've consolidated the draft booster experience with set boosters, is the simplified way of putting it, and they've now made play boosters. They'll come in 36 card packs. You have 36 packs in a box. There'll be 14 cards instead of 15. And I'll go through part of how the breakdown is later in the video. But the idea is you can draft with them. They still offer some thrill of the set experience. And they get to make more money for you. Now, what I mean by more money for you is not really for you. They say they're giving you value, but it's actually more money for the company because everything is being priced at the set booster box price. Now, I actually worked out the math here, at least in Canada. I haven't done the States. So a set booster box at the cheapest place I could find was $169.95 Canadian or $192 Canadian per box of a set. Okay, that's $6.40 for 30 packs. But we know in 2024, starting with the new sets, Karlov Manor, they're going to have 36 packs in a box, but it's at set booster box price, which means it's going to be $230 a box. Your draft nights are going to cost you more because the price is more. Now, it is not astronomically more. I'm going to admit that. For a player who's just walking in and wants to have the experience of a draft night, you're not going to notice a big difference. It's a couple of bucks more, not the end of the world. But this is where it gets interesting because the boxes will cost so much more. Overall, you're going to see almost nobody buying boxes. The sealed will stay pretty much dead. But the experience of bringing back draft nights, bringing back the experience of Standard, I think this has some merit. As much as I want to just pan on this product for being another cash flow leach into their company, which I still think it is, I have to admit that this will start to look better if they play it out. Less products is better. Less lineup is better. They talk about the logistical issues and carrying so many product lineups and the warehouse space. And yes, this all makes sense on paper. Okay, it will play better with players if there's a little more variety, a little more excitement from opening multiple packs and getting some cool rares, multiple rares in a pack still. It's all going to fit well, and it works with the draft experience. I love it. I love the concept, the idea. Do I wish they charged us $230 Canadian minimum for a box? No, I really don't, because I can look back at Khans of Tarkir. Look at my spreadsheet. It was $113 a box. These are all with taxes in, by the way. In Canada, taxes in, everything. $113, which means a case, which is 6 boxes back then of Khans of Tarkir. You had fetch lands, you had cool dragons stuff. That was $678 taxes in. And that's like what, 2014, 2015, okay? Now you go ahead and we take a look at 2024. A case of whatever new product comes out from here on in is $1,382. It is double the price, which means in the 10-year span, they doubled the price of their boxes. Doubled. That is the terrifying aspect of this hobby that is freaking me out. As an MTG finance guy who likes to give you guys the numbers, give you hard facts of how things look, it freaks me out to think how much I spend if I buy a box. Singles are singles, so I think that's still going to be the strongest part of the market. But the idea that somebody wants to buy a few boxes to have fun with and is paying $500-$600, like half a paycheck to get a couple of boxes, I think you will see less box sales. I think there'll be a drawback on the box sales because of this. I find that very interesting to see how far they've taken the prices and if players will accept it, which I don't think at this point we really know. It will take time to adjust. Overall, they still have increased their prices a lot over the last couple of years. This is just another price increase because they're forcing you to buy more packs. They're forcing you, if you buy a box, to pay the higher price, which means there'll be a lot more players opting out. There'll be more players going for the singles, more players, and remember this, more players buying singles means higher reprint value for the company. It works in like a big cylinder, right? You have standard coming back to life, players have to buy 4 of. They're making you buy a more expensive product, promoting standard coming back to life as you go along this wheel. So the prices will be higher, less boxes opened, higher overall values of single cards because less boxes will be opened. It goes in a wheel. You can just see it happening, which means they have reprint equity coming down the pipeline 4 or 5 years from now. Okay, so if you're a finance follower of stuff like this, this is what you need to know because it is going to affect people who try to speculate on cards, people who are trying to hoard cards, people who want to hold on to it and then trade at the maximum value. There's going to be some leg room there in the next little while, I think, that players aren't expecting to see. We're seeing with cards like Sheoldred and stuff right now, with standard coming back, the players are looking for these cards and it's a really high price point. And some players are paying for it. It's on wish lists and people are looking for it and stores are paying higher trade-in values. This is some stuff that people need to know. And that the idea that your events, pre-releases, what do you call it, draft nights, FNMs, special events, they're all going to cost more. Because they cost the store more, it's only natural it's going to cost you, the player, more. Maybe not to like a huge hard point yet, but it's an expense you need to be aware of in your night of entertainment, however you decide to engage in it. This is still Wizards of the Coast, tightening the screws a little bit to get a little more money out of you. As long as you understand that going in, it's not such a bad feeling because this really could help the game overall by consolidating everything. But if we see more price increases in the next couple of years, I think they're in for some trouble again. I think it's going to get a little bit too dicey for players. Not for the guys buying 4 packs and spending $24, but the idea of anybody who ever wanted to buy a box to draft with friends and just kind of box looking at that price going, I'm not paying that, that's ridiculous. That you will see from some people. And it also means, by the way, collector boxes will go up. They didn't talk about it. They said, oh, we're not going to talk about collector boxes. They are going to go up in value. Okay, they're going to cost you more. You're probably looking another 10 to 15% added on within the next 12 to 18 months. Mark my words. You can get pretty accurate on this stuff when you know how a company works. When they consolidate like this, They're losing some product lines. They're maximizing volume, forcing players down a funnel to get these products. The other product line, Collector Boosters, which is selling fairly well, they'll need to generate a little bit more revenue. They'll charge the distribution more, and they'll charge you more. It's just natural how it'll go. So keep an eye on that stuff. They will try to tweak the value and add better cards in there, add a different experience, but it's going to come at a cost. They want in your wallet. They want to find a way in. So please don't take this as Moxman being negative. It's Moxman saying, keep your eyes open at what's going on. This is very fascinating and interesting stuff to see what they're doing, because it looks like they are trying to mend some of the problems that they themselves caused. They caused these problems when they created set boosters. They wanted more money, and over time, set boosters ate into draft. At some points, you couldn't get draft, so you had to buy set, and that skewed the numbers. It skewed how people looked at things, and players thought, oh, there's more value in set. But when all the cards are only $1 or $2, there's no value. It's the perceived value that they tell you is there. But again, that could change. That actually could change depending on how they run this product line. So keep that in mind, that the old adage, like, these cards will have no value, that may be changing. Depending on how they do this lineup, on how they put the cards and sets together, and how frequent we see these boxes being opened, it can skew the numbers in a really weird way. So just be aware of it. Now, let's take a look now. We're like 10 minutes in. I'm sorry. We have a lot to say about how this is all going to come around. But let's jump to the actual article. We're going to read through this stuff. It's going to take a while, so just bear with it. I hope you guys can enjoy this, and the Moxman messing up my words as I comment throughout the video. So here we have the actual article. And as I read this article and go through it, it's going to take a while to read everything. I will be stopping at certain sections to offer my opinion on what I think is going on with the company. Now, when we look at this, it says, what are play boosters? Making Magic, October 16th, 2023, Mark Rosewater. Now, this first part here says, the set booster and draft boosters are being combined into a new type of booster we're calling the play booster. In this article, I will explain why this is happening, walk through the new play boosters will include, and share details of their introduction into Magic. How did play boosters come about? This story goes back to 2018 with Studio X, what we call the part of the company responsible for tabletop Magic. It crunches a lot of data about players and about what they enjoy in Magic and what it does and what doesn't work for them. Occasionally, we find a piece of data that causes us to rethink how we make Magic. This time, the piece of data was the following. The majority of players who open a booster do not play limited formats, which is kind of their fault, right? They killed it off when they created the set booster. Remember that, guys. He may say, oh, because they weren't opening it. And also, for a while, the draft boosters weren't available. They only let people buy set boosters, so it's kind of funny. Do not play in a limited format, draft or sealed. We thought, might there be a different kind of booster that was more fun to open if we weren't restricted by the needs of limited play? The question led to the creation of the set booster. It came out in Zendikar Rising shortly before it premiered. I wrote an article introducing it to all of you. What had been the default booster was renamed the draft booster. Okay, totally different from the boosters we opened back in Revised and Alpha and Beta. Those boosters could just literally have anything. They were crazy how they were put together sometimes. All kinds of mistakes happened. Now, it says here, a quick aside. There's also the collector booster players who buy collector boosters, enjoy them. Anyway, he basically says, we're not talking about collector boosters right now, but remember, he mentioned it. The reason he's mentioning is because at some point they're going to increase that price, okay? Again, I'm just going to fly by this part of the article and go down to the problem one. Set boosters became the top choice for players, and I should stress not by a little bit, but significantly. Again, part of their own problem because we could only buy set boosters for about 6 months out of a year. This meant, and also COVID, so we couldn't actually play inside the stores and do FNMs and draft nights. All part of the problem, so their data is a little bit off here. This meant that when most players had a choice of what to buy, they were opting to buy set boosters. The problem is that set boosters are not designed for limited play. So for example, if a store only had set boosters in stock, they couldn't run drafts. Some of our smaller markets don't have that option of printing 2 types of boosters, so they had to pick one. Because set boosters sold better, they chose that one. This meant that no drafts or sealed was being played in those markets. Many players had tried to use set boosters for limited play, but that being their only option because they're not designed for limited. It resulted in significantly substandard limited play. Problem 2, causing inventory problems. This is a bit simplified, but here's how a store manages Magic product. They buy product A and sell it. They use the money to buy product B. They sell it. They sell product B and move on and make money to buy product C. If for some reason they don't sell all the product because you dumped it on Amazon and undercut their market, couldn't help it, guys, I'm sorry. It gets stuck in their inventory, meaning it isn't converted into money to buy the next product because you killed all value with reprints and nobody wants to buy your products right now. If this happens enough, which it did because you kept reprinting things, it causes huge problems for stores, and it's not fair. Half the stores are starting to close up because of this. Oh man, I'm just going on a run here. This basic concept also is true for distributors, the companies that buy Magic the Gathering and sell it to the stores. Once upon a time, a store just had one booster to buy from any one Magic set, and that was being bought. Now, every set releases with both set boosters, draft boosters. Most of our customers prefer set boosters, but limited play, which fosters community and can also be an additional income for the store. No, it takes away from stores generally unless they sell enough draft boosters. Because they have to run it, they have to keep the Hydra on, keep an employee on staff, but that's okay. Big stores do okay though. Not enough draft boosters, they can't run limited events, which cost the store money. Get too many draft boosters and not enough set boosters, you run out of what the customer wants to buy, which also costs you money. Of course, they could have just not raised prices, kept it at a cheaper price, allowing the stores to carry both, and then everyone would have won. But that's beside the point, right? Because we're going on to problem 3 now. Problem 3, it began the abandonment of draft boosters because the stores can't afford all your product. You're overcharging. The second problem exacerbated the first problem. Having 2 different types of boosters was causing a strain, and well, stores were opting to buy set boosters. Yes, this came at the expense of limited play, which you guys tried to kill off when you introduced set boosters and also wanted people to go on things like Arena to play and spend money there. But if that was what was costing of staying in business, then that's what they had to do. We do a lot of future forecasting in Studio X, and our people are saying that given enough time, they believed draft boosters would stop being a thing because you kept downplaying them and taking all the good stuff out and only putting it in the more expensive products. That's what killed it off. It isn't because it wasn't a good experience, by the way. Limited play, especially draft, is a huge part of the Magic ecosystem because you need to buy packs to make you money, and you're just, yeah. As I explained above, it's an important part of in-store activity. That is 100% true. Draft nights were a big thing. It's a big driver for building community. Our pre-releases use limited play as a way for players to sample a set. It's a key part of keeping players with the game long term. Our data shows that the longer you play, the more likely limited is to be part of your play experience. That's right. You go on a Friday night, you do a draft night, you do a pre-release experience. I agree with that 100%. That's a good point. One of the key strengths of Magic is where there are many ways to enjoy it. Limited might not be how many players interact with the game, but for millions of players who played Limited, it's fundamental to their enjoyment to interact with the game. Seeing draft boosters and thus limited play disappear would be a big problem for stores and players. It absolutely is, and it's their fault that it happened in the first place. That, along with COVID, which is of course not their fault, those 2 things just killed things off, okay? They did a horrible job marketing things and making people lean on set boosters because they could make more money. Problem 4, it causes confusion in the marketplace. Having 2 things that are very similar but not quite the same causes several issues. One of those is people confuse the 2. Maybe an individual buys a draft booster when they mean to buy a set or vice versa. I personally on multiple occasions have opened a booster to play Limited to realize I accidentally opened up a set booster. This problem extends beyond players. I've heard many stories of stores ordering one type and receiving the wrong one, and that's true, I've heard that too. Having 2 different types of regular boosters means we have to communicate twice as much information about how each booster is put together and what's in it. For example, there can be cards that appear in one type and not another. Yeah, that's your guys' choice. You could have made them all the same and offered the same types of products, but you purposely made them convoluted, difficult to understand, and overpriced. Yeah, that's just me. I know I'm just picking on them right now, guys, but I can't help it. Problem 5. It makes some magic boosters less desirable. Let's say a store is running an event in which the prizes are boosters from a current set. Some of the audience wants prizes to be set boosters as they plan to open them as soon as possible. Others want them to be draft boosters because they want to use those prizes to do more drafting. Usually for simplicity or message and for inventory reasons, the store owner wants to give away one type of booster. The existence of two types of boosters causes frictions. Players can get upset from having the wrong kind of booster. Players don't necessarily think of themselves as a set booster player or a draft player. They're a Magic player, and we want them to be happy with every Magic booster they get. Whenever they buy it themselves, win as a prize, or get it as a gift. I agree with that. Be a Magic player, enjoy the experience, and have a good time. And this consolidation of both of these does lend to a better experience overall, the potential better experience depending on how Wizards does it. It's still another form of them consolidating, flagging sets that aren't doing well, but he is right. In my opinion, I can agree with that statement 100%. Problem 6. Every booster wasn't getting all the cool stuff. Yeah, I wonder who decided who gets the cool stuff. Probably the economic team, right? In an ecosystem with set boosters and draft boosters, customers didn't get the full experience. Either they buy a set booster and don't play limited formats, or they buy a draft booster and miss out on cool things like getting multiple rares. Why can't we get both? Well, who cares about multiple rares? Rares are basically now just uncommons. Wizards has taken the value, the cool factor of even getting a rare, so I think nothing of when I get 4 or 5 rares, because they all have a dollar value or less, so it doesn't matter. But again, why can't we get both? For all these reasons, Studio X realizes the need for a change. The answer is simple, although the execution is complicated. We needed to return to a single type of core booster that we dubbed the Play Booster. Our goal was to combine the play experience of the draft booster with the fun experience of opening a set booster. The good question is how we do that. Well, you already did it back when we had Revised. You had the cool factor all along. You gave it away over the years with how you've run your products, and now you're trying to go back to the original experience. Again, it is a good idea. But you didn't have the wheel broken in the first place. Don't let greed get ahead of you, Wizards. Because set boosters were the more popular item, we decided to approach the problem by figuring out how to make a set booster playable. Here are the major issues that were identified. Now it says here, not enough cards, colors weren't balanced, the ratio of rares would have to shift. I'm just going through this because these are not major issues for me and part of this conversation, guys, but if you want to read it, I'm just kind of flying by a little bit. You can pause the video and take a look. Now, this part here, issue 4, we would have to change how we made sets. This is a little more interesting, where it says, how we design sets is heavily influenced by the means we package it in boosters. Changing the ASFAN of rarities, that is the count of each rarity card you'd expect to see in an open booster, introducing more variants in slots, adding in more outside cards, all impact how the set plays and thus requires us to change how we build the set. All of these challenges, this was one of the biggest. It required us to rethink how Magic's set is made. R&D spent a lot of time on this, and they get into the nitty-gritty of how they designed the structure has changed. When we get to previews for Murders at Karlov Manor, I'm going to be kind of interested to see how they do this. Because that's not a set that I'm particularly looking forward to, but now I have enough of an interest that I'm like, okay, I'm willing to take a look now. Now that I've walked through these changes, I want to give you some specifics of how the new Play Booster will include. Below, I'm going to list some details about the makeup of Play Boosters, things like the percentage of time you'll see certain cards and rarities, or whether types of cards show up in certain slots. This will be correct for Murders at Karlov Manor, the first place that you'll see Play Boosters. But some may change from set to set. In other words, Play Boosters will follow this general pattern of slots, but the details may vary from set to set. We'll continue publishing details for contents of products and boosters of new releases, typically collecting and then the set name. Okay, I can go with that. So a Play Booster, draftable, up to 4 rares. Again, I don't know why they're hyping on the 4 rares, guys. We all know the rares have lost so much value. They're not considered special anymore, and they need to get back to being special. They need it. I don't know. That's just me. So, slots 1 to 6 has commons. Slot 7 is a common, or list, the list/common. Slots 8 and 10 are uncommons. Slot 11 is a rare or mythic rare. Slot 12 is a basic land. Slot 13 is a non-foil wild card. That can be anything, guys. Anything in the set. A foil wild card, which again could be a rare or mythic, could be anything in the set, and then you have a chance for like the add token, the art card, and stuff like that. Sorry, I just got to take a sip here. Told you this was going to be long. Now, we can go through this here, but you can see there's different ratios and rarities they choose to show things here. The point is, it's kind of like a set booster, but now it's going to be a more draftable experience, which I can agree with. I like the idea of all this. I have no problem with the layout of how they've decided to do it. I can't wait to see it in play, though. Okay, This kind of stuff here, it just, the part I want to get to here. All right. When you get down here, it says, will play boosters make draft less fun? R&D believes it will not. We've been working very hard for years. Guys, listen to that line. For years to understand the impacts of play booster would have. That means they've been planning this basically since they saw how well the set boosters sold in Zendikar Rising. They did not take into the economic climate they're facing now. They just took it all in back then. Oh, crazy, man. We've adapted to how we're building the sets to accommodate Murders at Karlov Manor was designed and balanced with play boosters in mind. There will be lessons to learn as we adapt to a new system, of course, but Magic constantly evolves, so we're pretty good at adapting. I think it's needed. I think it's not a bad idea. Just the idea when they said they're good at adapting. No, you're not. No, you're not. Bad comment. If the play boosters have more rares on average, will that mean more bombs in limited formats? When was the last time you saw a rare as a bomb, by the way? There will be more cards of rare and mythic power level, but there's some mythics that are basically like junk you can never play. This is hilarious. There will be more cards of rare and mythic power level, but adapting to that, making sure players have more answers at lower rarity is part of R&D. This is what I found interesting. All of our playtests have been done with this in mind. They've been very enjoyable. We used to have, if you could get a Planeswalker to stick on the board, it was very hard to kill. Then they gave us every way under the sun to kill Planeswalkers. So even with all these cards we've seen, have you noticed how many times there's an instant kill spell that gets rid of a Sheoldred or gets rid of any card you see? They have so many ways of killing other cards that it's basically a redundant issue. I think it's hilarious. I think they've overdone that. I wish they'd scaled back on that, not giving every player an answer at every rarity level. Why are there only 14 playable cards? Don't care. Okay, here we go. Will playing in limited events cost more? Likely yes. Play boosters match and the cost of a set booster, not a draft booster, which will result in limited play environments going up costs slightly. However, the expected value of the booster went up. Did it? Did the value of the booster go up? Just because you charged more does not mean the value went up because you said the cards have no secondary market value. Unless the economic team actually exists and decided which cards have value. Interesting. Interesting. Remember that he just said, he just told you, the value of the boosters went up as well because there are opportunities to pull additional rares and mythics. So yes, you'll be paying slightly more, but you'll be likely getting more out of your boosters. Your rare and mythic card dollar per ratio spent will be staying the same. No, it's not, but that's okay. That's for another day. It's the play thing. Then he leaves an email where you can send or email and get an automated robot response. And that's not really where I want to finish things off. That's not where I want to finish things off. Thanks a lot. You've made it this far in the video. I understand this is an incredibly long video. Part of what he says makes perfect sense to me. It really does. The idea of going back to one booster, one type, the company has to make money. I understand that. So they give us an experience that could be a good experience. I'm not going to say it's not. I hate the idea of it costing more. But until you get to play these experiences and see how they've put things together, and remember, they're going to give you some sugar. The first hit's free. They're going to make the first couple of sets probably a lot more enticing to players. To lure you back to standard. To lure you back in. Right? They want to get you back to doing what we used to do. Don't be surprised if that experience changes over time. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm trying to just state out what they've done in the past and what will likely happen again. So enjoy the moments of fun you're going to have because it is going to be a fun experience. They're going to make it a fun experience. I'll expect to see some crazy stuff coming up and it's going to be a blast. How that will result in long term, I think it's a good step in the right direction to lead this game back to a path that everyone can enjoy. I think they've got to get back to getting standard play going. I think they have to get back to more events, higher prize pools. They have to make Magic fun and enjoyable for as many players as they can. And this is a good idea. I'm not sure how it's all going to work out and being executed. The price has me really annoyed. I know from that first 8-9 minutes of the video. And I don't agree with all of his comments. I just can't. But I can agree the idea is good. The concept is great. And the way they go about doing it right now looks good on paper. I just think when they say things like value, you're getting more value for your dollar. Who decided that it was value for my dollar? Did you ask the players if it was? Did you just check with some distributor? Some guy in your economic league? I don't know. But that part bothered me a bit. So I'll be curious. Actually, I'm excited to see how this all plays out in the end. So we'll see how it plays. We're going to have a good time. I know I'm going to be at that pre-release to see how it all goes down. And I want to see the new pricing structure as it comes to the Toronto and Canadian stores here. And I can't wait to know what you guys, when you start getting pricing wherever you are in the world, please send me an email. I love to update this stuff and see where everyone's being charged. Just let me know where you're from, what you're being charged. And again, slam some comments down, guys. This is a crazy time. This is an entire shift in the Magic ecosystem again, just after a few changes we've had, and again, announcing things like Standard coming back to life. Whew! Exciting times, and thanks for making it to the end of the video. If you made it this far, you can put Bruce Campbell in the comments section, because if you made it this far, you're a fan of the channel. You're a fan. Bruce Campbell all the way. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have an awesome day. Play boosters. Can't wait to see them. Big shout out to all the fantastic patrons. Yeah, that's right, guys. A 30-minute video, and this was brought to you by the supporters. The patrons of this channel made this kind of volume of content possible. Thanks again to all my supporters out there. Rock on. What? You're at the Ramble Jamble? You guys made it to the end of this video? Guys, this is a 30-minute video. This is not the Moxman norm. My voice is going to be so strained tomorrow. I had to take a sip part way through. Look at all that reading. That article is huge. Guys, we're here at the end of the video. And of course, I always focus on the cash stuff. I can't help it because it's just another way of squeezing a few more dollars out, forcing us down a certain funnel path. I've done lots of videos talking about the trails and paths that Wizards will take. This is one that really kind of saw it coming. Commented on a lot of times. Not much we can do about it, though. It's the path they're taking. If you want to play the game, you have to follow along. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with old draft boxes over the years when they don't have any more of that style anymore. It's kind of interesting. And set boosters will cease to exist. They won't exist anymore. They're gone. Now we just have the play booster. Again, that consolidates a lot of problems for them, okay? It leaves the stores with one option, and they got to buy it. You could avoid our set boosters. You might be able to avoid the draft boosters. Now you're just stuck with it. And overall, we're making more money, so we're happy. We're shipping less products. We're giving less information out, and we make more money. And we had it on the books for years. Whew! All I can say is crazy times. Now, I left a comment there saying, hey, you made it to the end of the video and put Bruce Campbell in the comment section. But if you made it this far, if you're one of the crew, no, not USS Enterprise. I know some of you guys were thinking that, although I did watch The Next Generation all the time, and I watched all the original series. I haven't watched the most recent ones or the cartoon one, but I'll get to that. We got to put some Deadpool action. We got a Halloween month. Put Deadpool, so I know you made that far. Put both if you made both. You never know. It might be important. Some things, they're important. I'll see you guys soon. Have an awesome one. You made it this far. I'm really impressed.